here. Joe Semyon,
Here.
Jane Kelly.
Here.
Mike Fitzgerald,
Here.
Joe Gillis, Todd Rulison, Dave Demore.
Here.
All right, we have a quorum.
Is Todd here?
Yes, he is.
Okay, I didn't hear him.
We'll look at the minutes from the January 12th meeting. Does anyone have any questions or comments on the minutes? Hearing none, would someone make a motion to accept those minutes?
Make a motion to accept them.
Is there a second?
Second.
Jane? Any further discussion? Roll call vote to approve the minutes. Joe Semyon,
Aye.
Jane Kelly,
Aye.
Mike Fitzgerald,
Aye.
Joe Gillis, not here, Todd Rulison,
Aye.
and Dave Demore.
Aye.
Budget report is attached. Looking at it quickly, on the revenue side, we received the income from the sale of the property on the south side of County Road 107 and the reimbursement check we received from NYMER for the vandalism that occurred out there at Tryon. On the expenditure side, salary, unemployment insurance, taxes, all of our standard monthly expenses. The $2,500 expense, that was the legal fees for the sale of the property on the south side of 107, which were paid for by the buyer. There were some Tryon expenses, which involved paying the fire taxes that were authorized at the last meeting, monthly electric bill for the wastewater pump station, and the final bill for the power jetting and replacing the floats on that emergency work at the pump station. And then there was a $3,900 expense that was associated with the IDA's responsibilities and costs that they had to pay on the closing on the property on the county and south side of 107. We also paid the CRG membership, the annual membership for the CRG, and we had to renew our subscription to Zoom video communications for what we're using here this morning. And we also had to order some more checks so we could pay bills with. Those are all of the expenditures for the past month. Any questions on the budget report? Hearing none, would someone make a motion to accept that report?
So move.
Dave Demore. Is there a second to that?
I'll second.
Roll call vote to accept the budget. Roll call vote to accept the budget report. Joe Semyon,
Aye.
Jane Kelly, Mike Fitzgerald,
Aye.
Todd Rulison,
Aye.
Dave Demore.
Aye.
Committee reports. Monthly bank reconciliations. Dave, your month?
Yeah, so I had a chance to look at everything, while there wasn't a lot of account activity in the month of January, and what did occur was reconciled, and no other further action needed. So clean bill of health this month.
Very good. Other reports, none from the county. I don't see John Blackman here. Dr. Ford, Leslie, what do we have this morning? Good morning.
Good morning. Yeah, and happy almost Valentine's Day to you as we live in the snow. So we have just some highlights I'll give you from the CRG report. I'm glad to see my CRG mates here. We are still working on a group meeting between 80 and 100 acres. So I have offered Tryon area for them, and that's still in the works. Benjamin Moore is circulating job availability throughout the area, and CRG is working with them for some financial incentives. I want to mention that we started the micro enterprise grant submission for New York State's 2021 program. It's a little different, like everything is under these circumstances, but the good news is that the grant minimum has increased from 200 to 300,000. So that will be good for us. In terms of being involved with the community, I'll just give you a couple of highlights. One is that our working capital project partner, MVEDD, was approved by the EDA for over 2 million in working capital, and CRG referred a total of 6 businesses for financing to them. In terms of recruitment initiatives and leads, we signed an NDA for a possible project in Fulton County, to be disclosed later. We're moving forward with a developer on a large development proposal in Gloversville. The AIM workforce development is starting back up again, and Ken has been leading, organizing the training for that, so that's been going very well. We're working, next emphasis will be in the nursing and hospital area. CRG is working on the documents for the approval of the NYS Jobs Development Authority, which will allow us to start lending through the JDA agricultural program, which I know you've heard of it before. So we're still working to have that program in place. We submitted 2 CARES Act loan applicants to MVEDD for presentation at their next meeting. And the last thing I'll let you know is the CRG team in the first 3 weeks of January, just as a metric, had over 50 business interactions. So even in this quiet time, sort of, there's a lot going on, and that's very, very good news for us. That's it.
Thank you. Any questions?
Nope.
Very good. Joe Gillis, is that you? That's him at the 849-9388.
Yeah, I'm on.
Okay, good morning. A couple of old business items. Betsy Emery in final stages of updating IDA website. Hopefully she'll be available to present that at our next meeting if all is completed. The property on the south side of 107, the sale was completed. Keys have been turned over to the new owners. As I mentioned earlier, the sewer line, the power jetting and vacuuming of that sewer line that services that parcel of land was completed, came in slightly under what the estimate was. The emergency repairs to the wastewater pump station were also completed, and again, came in slightly under what the estimated cost was going to be. Next, on top of page 4 of your agenda, 2021 goals. At your last meeting, the board identified several potential goals to establish for itself for 2021. One, to identify potential sites for redevelopment and conduct desktop environmental assessments on them. Contact National Grid to see if there's ways to expedite any approvals for potential projects. Conduct a summit with IDA's economic development partners. Develop new revenue streams and conduct board training. Wanted to present those and discuss those one more time and to determine which ones you want to actually officially adopt as goals for 2021. From my perspective, I think 1, 3, and 5 are the most attainable. I think 2 is we can certainly pursue it. I'm not sure how what the metrics are going to be to evaluate whether that's something that we can accomplish or not. And developing new revenue streams, again, we can certainly look at that. Unfortunately, there are certain limitations as to what we can or can't do. But toss that out for discussion. Which ones that the board would want to kind of officially adopt as your goals for 2021? Thoughts, comments?
Jim,
I
I thought,
think, go ahead.
Jim, I just saw on item number 2, I know we ran into an issue last year with some interested parties not being able to get National Grid out there because of 911 addresses. So I just thought, is there a possibility that we could take those lots, and maybe one is block 100, one's block 200, one's block 300. So we did subdivide those. We could assign, like, on the block 100 be 100 through 110, 200 be 200 through like 220, just so we have a 911 address that doesn't slow us down there.
The challenge there, Mike, is that those lots, that that we have out at Tryon all have floating lot lines.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't know, or we, like lots 1 and 2, which we have optioned to vary, they combine 50 acres. Well, if we sell that as one 50-acre parcel, it's going to have one 911 address. If we ended up selling it as 4 individual parcels, there would need to be 4 addresses. So it's sometimes it's difficult for us to pre-establish addresses on property that we don't know what the boundaries are going to be. It's not like a residential subdivision where lots are established and those lots aren't going to change. Then you can go through and assign numbers, to those lots because those lot lines are not going to change. At Tryon, and this is the same experience we've had with our other industrial parks, all right, it's difficult to pre-establish addresses when you don't know where those property lines are going to be.
Well, that's why I thought if we could do like a 100 block, then you'd have 100 to 199 that you could designate for that block.
We can, and that is an issue with the sheriff's department, because the sheriff's department is the one who establishes 911 addresses throughout the county. Okay, so we can certainly have that discussion with the sheriff's department, because that's where the issue is that's who establishes 911 addresses.
Okay.
I mean, Mike does have a good point there, but I do know with the floating lines, it's tough to do that. But I think the biggest concern with National Grid is that they're not responsive as for getting pricing to potential customers. I don't know if the CRG has any helpful suggestions as to who we could contact. I mean, I am willing to reach out to Bob Smullins about our situation, our assemblyman. It may not go anywhere. I mean, National Grid, it always seems they go at their own pace, but I mean, it just is ridiculous that, you have someone interested in some buildings, the old maintenance building, and, the poor gentleman could not even get a price as to how much it was going to take to hook up to them. So, when you've got people waiting and waiting and waiting, and then options wind up expiring, it's ridiculous. I mean, the guy is not going to buy a building if he doesn't know if it's going to cost $1,000 or if it's going to cost $50,000 to do it. So I think we still have to pursue that, but I would be willing to at least reach out to Bob Smullins to see if there's any way that I can talk with someone about this situation. But I think 1, 3, and 5 definitely are attainable. I mean, the summit is going to be when all this COVID stuff is a little better off, so we can actually meet, not just have Zoom meetings, I think. But, I mean, if 6 months go down the road and we're still at the same situation, I think we do have to schedule a Zoom meeting with all interested parties. It works. Everyone is doing it. And then 1, definitely, I think, is we've got to get a list of some potential lands. We have had some income coming in. It would be good to see what's out there to possibly see if it'd be available for us to purchase, as long as the assessment comes back the right way. Those are my comments.
Okay, thanks, Joe. Anyone else?
I would add that 1, 3, and 5 definitely need to be priorities. 2, I see as being sort of we should have it on the list, but we maybe deal with that as we can. Maybe not have the same higher level of priority. Item 4, in terms of developing new revenue streams, I think that, as you suggested, is limited due to our statutory limitations. I think, if anything, that really means business development for us, generating more project opportunities, which I think is integrated into the other items. So, I think we're kind of doing that on a consistent basis, would be my thought. So for me, it's 1, 2, 3, and 5 should be included.
Anyone else? Can't hear you, Todd.
How's that?
That's better.
Okay. I would agree with David. I think 1, 2, 3, or 1, 2, yeah, whichever, 3 and 5. But I think we have to keep National Grid on that list as well. You know, one of the action items could be Joe contacting Mr. Smullen as one of the things that we get accomplished. But we've got to crack that nut somehow in order to try to move some projects along when they become, you know, available to us.
What I'm hearing is 1, 3, and 5 would be kind of the higher priority. 2 and 4, you can keep on the list, but just recognize they may be a little bit lower priority. Is that a fair assessment?
Agreed.
Agreed.
Okay. Do we need an action item, or is that just does everyone accept that as a consensus of the discussion here today?
I think that's consensus. That's fine.
Very good. Alrighty, then that's will be our goals for now. Obviously, folks, we talked about this before. Goals can be added to and changed during the course of the year. So if something comes up next month that you want to add, we can certainly put that up for discussion. Okay, moving on to new business. Our ST62 form, which is titled the IDA Annual Compliance Report for State Sales Tax Recapture. We are required to file this form each year. It asks us to identify to the state if we granted any sales tax exemptions in the past year, and if we moved to recapture sales tax benefits given to a particular company. In 2020, we did grant tax exemptions to the Benjamin Moore expansion project, and we did recapture sales tax exemptions from Johnstown Renewables. And so that is what we will be reporting to the state. And so the form has been completed. I need a motion to authorize the chairman to sign that and submit that form for the fiscal year ending December 31, 2020. Thank you, Jane. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second it.
Todd? Roll call vote to approve the motion. Joe Semyon,
Aye.
Jane Kelly. Okay. Mike Fitzgerald,
Aye.
Joe Gillis,
Aye.
Todd Rulison,
Aye.
Dave Demore.
All right.
Motion's passed. Last item for today's agenda is continuing with our board training. I put a lot of information into the agenda. I would ask all of you to review it. I'm not going to go through it all point by point, but it focuses on there are 3 laws that govern how we operate. It's sections 850 to 888 of New York State's General Municipal Law, the Public Authorities Accountability Act of 2005, and the Public Authorities Reform Act of 2009. I'm going to give you a quick rundown of all 3 of those, starting with General Municipal Law. Section 852 establishes basically what projects an IDA can involve itself with. And this is where every project starts. Whenever we have a potential project that comes to the IDA, first thing we have to evaluate whether that project complies with this requirement of General Municipal Law to ensure that we can legally provide financial incentives to that particular project. So this is kind of a very important section of the law and how we conduct our business. A few years ago, we also established our own mission statement, which reads, the IDA's mission is to create and promote economic growth and prosperity for both residents and entrepreneurs in the county. The IDA's role in Fulton County's economic development program is to develop and maintain an inventory of shovel-ready sites for new and expanding businesses, offer financial incentives as may be required to encourage the creation of new and retention of existing jobs and expand the county's tax base. In doing so, the IDA strives to make Fulton County a desirable place to live and do business. Moving down, section 857 was the new mandate that was put in that says the IDAs shall, to the extent practical, stream all open meetings and public hearings. we're to put those on our website within 5 business days and keep them there on our website for at least 5 years. We are now in compliance with that new state mandate. Section 858 contains 18 items. This identifies all the things that IDAs are authorized to do. Okay, and so everything that's in here is what the state says we have the authority and legal authority to do. Moving on to section 850 or 862. This places certain restrictions on IDAs and the use of our funds. And it's another section that we must ensure compliance with when we receive a project application. Most of this deals with projects that are involved retail sales. And there's some specific requirements in here that we have to ensure if we are dealing with a project that involves retail that we are in compliance with. And then at the bottom of page 7, is really the key for what we do. The general municipal law authorizes an IDA to provide certain financial incentives to eligible projects. Provide real property tax exemptions, sales tax exemptions, mortgage recording tax exemptions, and potential bond financing. Moving on. So all of that sections of general municipal law apparently wasn't enough. And back in 2005, the state legislature felt that public authorities, including the IDA, needed more oversight and control and mandates and requirements. And so they adopted what was called the Public Authorities Accountability Act of 2005, also known as the PAAA. And then eventually amended that by adopting the Public Authorities Reform Act of 2009 called PARA. What happened was they created the state agency called the Authority Budget Office that has oversight over public authorities, including the IDA. It also established what are the board responsibilities. What are board members responsible for? Those are items 1 through 7 on page 8. And at present, the IDA board, this IDA board complies with all these requirements. The PAAA required that new board members go through training, get state-approved training. All of the current IDA board members have received that training, so we are in complete compliance with that requirement. Flipping to page 9, the law said IDAs need to create 3 committees: audit, governance, finance. Fulton County IDA has done that and so complies with that requirement. New legislation established criteria for board members to be quote unquote independent. And a majority of the board members appointed after 2006 must be independent. Well, all of the IDA board members are independent in accordance with those requirements. It also required now board members to file annual financial disclosure statements. This IDA board, has filed all those financial forms with the county attorney and does so every year. In fact, you should be, if you haven't received them, you should be getting them fairly soon.
Already filed.
Very good. Likewise.
Excellent.
And lastly, again, this new legislation required that IDA board members have to sign an acknowledgement of fiduciary duties and responsibilities statement. And all of you have done that. So don't mean to bore you, but everything that we do must be in compliance with these 3 laws. This governs everything that we do. Okay. And so just wanted to give you a highlight of that as part of ongoing board training. But I ask you to there's a lot more detail in there for you guys to take a look at. Anyone have any questions on what we've just presented in rapid form? Very good. Is there any other business board members need to conduct an open session here? Having said that, I would like to request an executive session to discuss the proposed acquisition, sale, or lease of real property, or the proposed acquisition of securities or sales of or exchange of securities held by such public body, but only when the publicity would substantially affect the value thereof. Would someone be willing to make that motion?
I make that motion, Joe Simeon.
Joe Semyon?
Second.
Second to Dave Demore. I would like to take a roll call vote, please. Joe Semyon,
Aye.
Jane Kelly,
Aye.
Mike Fitzgerald,
Aye.
Joe Gillis,
Aye.
Todd Rulison,
Aye.
Dave Demore.
All right.
We have gone into executive session at 8:27 a.m.
And I'll say goodbye.
So moved.
Dave,
Second.
Mike, roll call vote. Joe Semyon,
Aye.
Jane Kelly,
Oh, can we stop for 1 second?
executive at 9:53. And I now need a motion to close the meeting.
So moved.
Make that motion.
Dave and Joe. Roll call vote to close the meeting. Joe Semyon,
Aye.
Jane Kelly.
Aye.
Mike Fitzgerald,
Aye.
Joe Gillis,
Aye.
Dave Demore.
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned. Thank you for your time today.